this bill's coming up today, 203. Your thoughts, first of all?
I'm just outraged. We delivered over 10,000 petitions. We had resolutions from all the major cities in Ohio. There's been a coalition of, law enforcement to clergy, to college students, black, white, young, and old, all have said that we don't need stand your ground here in Ohio. We already have tough self-defense laws on the books. There's been, no major complaints of folks who have implemented the self-defense laws who said, hey, we need to have stand your ground. So we're very, very disappointed, and we're going to continue to fight. Whatever the committee decides today, we're going to continue to fight. I'm getting people already hitting me on Twitter, and folks who are ready to continue to let their voice be heard to the entire Ohio General Assembly that we don't need stand your ground. I also think it's ironic that the vote is being taken the day after George Zimmerman has been arrested. That backdrop is really, really interesting, and many states across the country are looking at ways to get rid of stand your ground or reform stand your ground, and we're looking to implement it. I think it's definitely the wrong direction for the state of Ohio.
The proponents say that Ohio's version of stand your ground would be different than other states. Ohio would still be on an island when it comes to the burden of proof that self-defense is being used, would still be on the person who used the self-defense versus other states. Do you agree with that?
I don't agree, because we have an amendment that would have allowed them to take out that language, which is the same language as the stand your ground in other states. And so I think the test was when we asked to have an amendment to take out that language, and there seemed to be resistance to take it out. We knew then that this was definitely stand your ground in Ohio, and certainly the motive is to implement a stand your ground law here in Ohio, which the citizens have said, hey, we don't need that type of polarizing law in Ohio. Again, I have not heard from anyone in my office who have implemented self-defense in Ohio and was not able to implement those laws. I have not seen any instances where someone had implemented self-defense or even was arrested. So I think that, the current law is the right law to have. I think it's tough enough, but I also think it's not a law that allows someone to follow a innocent African-American teenager and say, I fear for my life, and gun them down, and then say, I stood my ground. That's what people are concerned about, and that's what we don't need here in the state of Ohio.
Well, that's what Ken Hansen says, from Buckeye Firearms Association, said that wouldn't be allowed under Ohio's law. You would still have to, burden of proof would still be on the person who fired the weapon to say, I was using self-defense. You couldn't follow somebody for example.
I'd like to err on the side of caution, and even when we're talking about human life, we can debate issues all day long, but if the person is gone, and then after the person dies, we say, oh, well, it wasn't our intention. I think now we have seen what stand your law does. We've seen what it has done to Florida. We have seen how it has polarized this country. And so we have an opportunity now not to make the same mistake. Why make that mistake? We have current laws right now. I haven't seen anyone or heard from anyone who, had to defend themselves, who said, wait a minute, I was unable to defend myself because of the law that Ohio has. So again, we're not trying to have a wild, wild west, and it's not up to the individual to be the judge and the executioner at the same time. And I think the law that we have allows the right balance for people to protect themselves, and I support the right to bear arms. But I think that we have the right law on the book right now to allow people to defend themselves, but at the same time not have a Trayvon Martin tragedy where we can't bring that young man back. And I think human life is very important, and we've got to make the right decision, and I think the right decision is keep the current law that we have.
What about the rest of the bill? I know there's like tougher background checks, things like that, or different background checks.
I mean, I think there's issues with this bill in totality. I think for the Ohio Legislative Black Caucus, our focus has been on the stand your ground piece of the legislation. There are other, gun organizations or anti-gun organizations that certainly will debate the other portions of the bill.
So if that portion was pulled out wouldn't change really how you feel about the bill, or?
Yeah, there's still some bad things that are in the bill. I think the most egregious piece right now is the stand your ground component, and I think that's the one that cross-section of citizens, from priests to Baptist ministers to civil rights organizations to law enforcement, all have concerns about, and that's the piece that we certainly asked to be pulled out of this bill.